Ladies and gentlemen, we have gathered the who's who here today to talk about improving relationships between the different parties in a client-agency relationship. Tricky one. Security is on hand in case something goes down here today. But lucky, I think this one is going to need a little bit of a build up, a little bit of a drum roll as we introduce our speakers. But facilitating this discussion will be the legendary Anne Nurock. Let's give Anne some drums there. Thank you very much, Anne in the building. Now, Anne does come all the way from Cape Town. She is a partner at Relationship Audits and Management, a global consultancy that measures and optimizes client-agency relationships. Our agency MD today is Mpume Ngobese. Make some noise for Mpume. Now, Mpume's joined the Joe Public team in 2013, that crew that was making a noise there earlier on. She brings with her a wealth of experience and has judged some of the most prestigious awards in the industry. She's a board member of the ACA and a South African FE award, and the South African Awards Committee. She's also a board member of the IAB. Representing the creative side is Nkgabiseng Motau. She's the co-founder, there we go, and CCO of Think Creative Africa. She's also a member of the Creative Circle SA Exco board and has served as a juror for organizations such as ADC, One Show, Ad Stars, and Cannes Lions. Locally, she has been a recurring judge for Lurie's, Pendoring's, Creative Circle, Cannes Lions, and is a member of the AB InBev Brain Trust. My gosh, when do you sleep? I mean, I guess as much as we like to think we can do without the client, they are pivotal to this relationship. So thank you very much, Nedbank, once again for the tender. Thank you, really do. We also have Zayd Abrahams, who's the Chief Marketing and Strategy Officer at Tiger Brands, a highly awarded marketer. Zayd is an MBA graduate, actually, and certified growth marketer who consults on diversity, sustainability, marketing, and is a member of the FE's committee, as well as part of the judging panel for FE and Apex Awards. Ladies and gentlemen, do the right thing, Lucky, and welcome to the stage our incredible panel.
I think we got our places.
Okay, Thank you, Donovan. Good afternoon, everybody. It is just afternoon. Thank you very much to Dale and the IMC, to Nedbank, and of course to my amazing panelists. So, based on my 11 years of conducting relationship radar for 30 corporates, and therefore interacting with close to 100 agencies, I've seen a change in priorities when it comes to best-in-class relationships and high-performing teams on both agency and client side. What I've seen is that functional KPIs are now considered table stakes and what agencies are paid to do. These include account management, strategy, production on time, on budget, and even creative. That is why you are what you're paid for. But it's the behavioral KPIs and the behavioral attributes that are most crucial for a strong and enduring relationship. These behavioral KPIs are what turns relationships from transactional to transformational. And these include trust, which I'm going to talk about in more detail, communication, resilience, exceeding expectations, and one of the most important things of all is challenging clients. These attributes became evident during COVID, when agencies not only had to pivot, but had to advise clients during a period of deep uncertainty. But now these are almost expected. As everybody knows, and the agency people that are here, the best clients are those who will take some risks. These are clients who have a culture of creativity, which we can talk about later. They try new approaches. However, these clients are needing to trust the agencies. All clients need to trust the agencies. And before I turn to my panelists and get their point of view, I want to give you the definition, my definition of trust for client-agency relationships. I believe that it's a deep belief and confidence that both parties will act in each other's best interest. They will work together transparently and collaborate effectively to achieve common goals. There is absolutely no arguing, and I see this every single day, that the quality of the client-agency relationship is the single biggest predictor of success. So on that, I'd like to ask my friend and client and panelist, Zayd, what is your perspective on what I've said?
Thank you, Anne. I think the first thing, I don't really like the word client. So let's call ourselves brand custodians or brand guardians.
Right.
But having said that, we can't do that alone. So the expectation, firstly, is joint custodianship of the brands, joint custodianship of what the consumer insights are. And in order to do that, for me, it's about heightened collaboration and how do we and agencies really collaborate on solving business problems, but also identifying and seeking out those opportunities. And then how does agency environment, agency networks really understand the business? I'm going to give you a small example, which you're aware of, Anne. Our biggest brands are Albany and Co, two of the biggest ones. And when Gray got behind the brief, the teams, the Tiger Brands team, set out to do the old school inspirational briefing. So there was Team Gray and the brand teams off on a delivery truck at 4 o'clock in the morning to really go and see how does the value chain of bread actually work? How do we get that freshness out there every single day? And similarly on Co, it's understanding, yes, it's a tin of beans, but where does that value chain actually start? It starts with the farmers, it starts with the seed. So that really cracks the magic of both long-term brand building and equity, as well as the short-term business results that are required. And I think that collaboration is what we're looking for.
I think you're 100% right, but I also think it's amazing that you, as Tiger Brands, gave the agency the opportunity to have an immersive brief like that, because the briefing process is absolutely crucial to everything. And Mpume, what's your perspective on this?
Yeah, so my perspective is the COVID-19 actually and the lockdown, the pandemic, forced agencies to reconfigure their mindsets to deliver to what you're talking about in terms of collaboration, to reconfigure their ambitions, to also understand that clients' expectations have changed. So if you remember that during lockdown, there were trading restrictions, right? And what that meant was, okay, we were not getting paid because we work on industries that were not allowed to trade. But that's besides the point. It forced us to reimagine success for our clients, where we needed to think beyond the consumer brands and start thinking about the corporate brand. Because the corporate brand is what speaks to the government. The corporate brand is what speaks to the policymakers. So we needed to change our mindsets and the way we think so that we are able to force the government and the regulators, to change their policies, to change their laws in order for us, to enable the success of businesses. But it also forced us to understand that our brand custodians' priorities are not only now about profits, but they're about the impact that they have on communities and societies. So on collaboration, I really do think we are at an era now that's been forced by the pandemic to rethink and collaborate with our business partners.
Thanks, Mpume. And Nkgabiseng, you are the co-owner of an amazing female Black-owned agency, a small agency called Think Creative Africa. Do you want to give your perspective? Because it comes from a completely different view, probably, to Mpume, who's coming from a very big agency. What are your views on the client-agency relationship from your experience?
Yeah, I mean, I thank you, Anne. Thanks for having me as well. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to tongue lash my clients who are in the audience. I'm joking. I think at the heart of the client-agency relationship, from a small agency's perspective, one thing that we learned, and I think it plays into what Mpume is talking about, COVID did a number on a lot of businesses. And sometimes as agencies, I feel we've taken the position that clients don't understand us, right? And really focused on that pain points, that clients don't understand agency, clients don't understand creativity. But actually, through having gone through very difficult times with many of our clients, what I've realized is the single most important thing in the trust relationship is empathy goes both ways, right? And so the whole time that we've been so focused on the barrier between us and clients being that clients don't want to do exciting things, clients don't want to understand agencies, we haven't really as an industry been taking the time to understand the client pain points, you know, and understanding them at multiple levels. So at the level of that individual client's actual job, because that was being affected in this era. And then at the level of the work that is expected from them internally, so their internal stakeholders and what they believe the work is capable of doing, and then at the level of the consumer. We've been really brilliant at thinking about the problem at the level of the consumer and almost ignoring those first two layers. But I think in being in turbulent times with our clients, that's sort of come really to the fore, going, the empathy, you have to know your clients' problems on every level as well as they know yours, and try and build solutions together. I think that really does start to build trust and chip away the walls that we sometimes find.
Yeah, you know, when I was at Cannes Lion this year, Tor Myron, who's the Vice President of Marketing for Apple, which was Creative Brand of the Year, and who's arguably one of the top three CMOs in the world, and spent 18 years with agencies. He made a big statement that I thought was amazing. He said agencies are forever. And I remember, he said, when the internet came along, they said agencies would die. When Facebook and Google came along, they said agencies would die. And guess what? The agency model still stands. He said, and I'm saying this, I'm opening this up because I think there's another whole conversation here. And what he said is that agencies have a secret weapon in that there is nobody better at concise and compelling storytelling than agencies. The other thing is agencies are outsiders, and often clients get caught in their own vortex and they can't see outside of it. And that's where agencies also come into play. But, and there's a big but here, agencies have to challenge their clients. They have to be agitators. They have to push their clients. As he said, it's easier to pull an agency back than to push them forward. But just based as well on what Nkgabiseng said, it's all very well to say you've got to challenge your clients, but that is only possible if an agency truly understands their client's business and the consumers. And therein lies a very big problem because some agencies don't. Zayd, what's your perspective on really understanding the client's business and also, wanting your agencies to challenge you?
I love what Nkgabiseng says. It works both ways, the empathy. Sometimes we hear of an agency challenge or an issue from the media or from our networks rather than having an intimate conversation, picking up the phone. And likewise, sometimes agencies find out about what the brand or the company is going through the media rather than a direct engagement. And for me, I call this the need for relationship intimacy and specifically moving beyond the contract. We all know, we've all been in the industry, we know how to do the scope of works, the costing model, etc. But I think that finesse of really, when last have we had a meal together? Please join me at my Sensorium Innovation Center and let's cook together. Let's actually have a meal. Let's talk informally. Let's talk through, honestly, what are we trying to solve for? Everyone's got so many data points. A tweet is a data point, right? What does this actually mean? How can we really innovate out of that? How can we think differently? So I think it is, I miss the thinking beyond the contract, that intimacy that's beyond what do we actually get measured on and getting into a more qualitative. My CEO, I'm fortunate, before he returned to Tiger Brands, was the CEO of Nando's. And he talks very famously and very affectionately about the intimacy of the relationship, even at a CEO level. And I think while delegation is quite important, to empower the teams, it is significantly needed in this era of uncertainty of how we can actually build those bonds at all different levels between agency and brand owners.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, the relationship that goes beyond the contract is everything. And Mpume, what is your view with the relationships that you have with your clients going beyond the contract?
Beyond the contract, yeah, because that MSA, yes, is required for corporate governance, but it does limit the agency-client relationship to being a transactional relationship. So from our experience with a couple of our clients, we have relational contracts. We call them the growth contracts, where it's a shared responsibility that is owned by both the brand custodians and the agency. And within the relational contracts, we've got our partnership ambition that is defined in the relational contract. We have got the purpose of the partnership there. We've also got what we call a creative ambition, so that whatever work we develop and whatever work that needs to be signed off is work that speaks to our creative ambition in our relation contracts. And what's beautiful about that is that even the procurement teams in those clients have bought into that. And it speaks to, I suppose, the shared culture that we always need to embrace between a brand custodian and an agency, because it is very, very important in order to achieve whatever their ambition is.
It's amazing. It's like a manifesto.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that.
Kabi?
Yeah, I mean, you've really encapsulated it. It is about relational contracts. And sometimes it's not on paper. It's just about agreeing, what do we both want out of this relationship? And what are the pressures that are upon us, or the obstacles we need to overcome to get to them? I think an example for me, being a small agency, is really having an honest conversation to say, we're stuck in this loop of proving ourselves, and that makes the work bad. Right? You don't get the authentic level of the kind of work we want to give you, because we're constantly being tested because you've taken a risk on a small agency. Now, that's a very difficult but frank conversation that we've had with a client to go, can we get out of the tests and start getting to the work? And I think it was a major relief to them too, to go, okay, maybe that's it, all cards on the table, let's start doing the work. And that goes for client relationships, but also lateral agency partnerships, because that's another area. When you're a small business, you do partner with bigger agency partners, and how do you navigate those relationships? And I find that the frank conversation is absolutely timeless.
Yeah, I think you hit on a point there where you said, working with other agencies. I just completed a radar survey for a very big organization in South Africa. And one of the key trends that came through was how they are really, really encouraging and imploring their agencies to collaborate. And they're saying to their agencies, take the ego out of it. At the end of the day, it's all in the best interest of the brand. And this is an organization who really knows how to treat their agencies. But their ask to the agencies is please to collaborate. Do you see a lot of collaboration, Zayd, between your agencies? Because you work with a myriad of agencies.
Not nearly enough. And
Yeah,
I think Nkgabiseng's point is right. And particularly if you are let's call it a smaller agency, the role you can't see come through when it gets back to the brand custodian. And I've always been an integrator and believed in integration. And I believe that ideas don't necessarily have to come from the traditional, above the line structure. It could come actually from anywhere. So I think that collaboration could definitely be improved. But also it's up to us, again, beyond the contract. The contract may say that this is your scope of work, but there could be somebody else in the extended agency team that's more equipped to do that piece of work.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And I think, when it goes both ways, I think it also is up to the client to encourage that collaboration. It's all very well to say, I want you to collaborate. But at times there needs to be a facilitation of that to take away the tension. Mpume, how do you feel about?
I totally agree with that. And I think egos stand in the way of doing great work. They stand in the way of success. And we are shooting ourselves in the foot if we want to hold on to a little piece of the pie. I spoke about reimagine success earlier. That's very, very important for the clients and the agencies to understand and agree on what success means for everybody, because at the end of the day, the goal needs to be shared, and the goal is the success of the agencies and the brands and the greater country.
So we have exactly 47 seconds left. There are a lot of other things I wanted to bring up, a culture of creativity, but we need, as I said to Del, we need an hour for this, and we don't have an hour. So I'm going to end off here and say thank you to my three panelists. I think the information has been invaluable. Thank you to all the clients that are here. Thank you to all the agencies. And just keep building those relationships. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Anne. Right. Spilt my